Welcome back to the Piney Woods Homestead, y'all. We're in a drought, if you hadn't noticed. Lisa and I were talking this morning over breakfast about how dry it is. And I was telling her, I said, I don't think I have ever seen a spring this dry in my life. But thinking back, it's been about 20 years ago. But I remember in the southeast here, we had a drought that seemed to persist for a couple of years. And it feels like we are in that type of drought now. So y'all, we thought we'd take you along with us this morning for our morning chores. Y'all are having to do a lot of watering right now. The raised beds, we're able to take care of those fairly easily. Takes a lot of water still yet. And it's a good thing we have raised beds as well as in-ground garden, because our in-ground garden is not irrigated. And so we are getting the majority of the food stores we're putting up off of these 10 deep raised beds right now. Y'all, but we're still getting food down here out of this garden. It's just not as heavy. If we can just get a little rain, it'll produce a little bit better. But y'all, we're going to take you along. We'll feed up the pigs. And we will go down and do some bucket watering on the garden down there. I don't like to do it, but sometimes, y'all, you got to do what you got to do if you want to survive. And I'm going to tell you, in these drought conditions, if you're gardening because you're trying to put some food up because you see how crazy things are getting around us, you might want to get those buckets out and get some plants watered. Guys, hit the old like for us, subscribe if you haven't, and if you have, as always, we appreciate you. That'll help us grow this channel a whole lot, y'all. Thanks for sticking around. Let's get some chores done.
And I'm just going through. Japanese beetles love the okra, so I just keep an old jar with just a little bit of dish soap and water, and I leave it sitting out here where I can just grab it when I see them. And after a few days, I'll dump it out and put fresh in there. And generally I have to do this a few times a day. They've been really bad this year.
Y'all, between animals and gardens, when there's a drought, it takes a lot of water to keep everything going. But fortunately, we have a good deep well with plenty of storage capacity. And y'all, we don't tax it to death. If you're gonna have to supply water to your animals and garden, try to think of times of the day to do it when it's less demanding, as far as like early in the morning and late in the evening. When you're not running stuff in your house, things of that nature. But we need some good rain, y'all, because these wells, they need all that rain to keep them topped off. That's another thing you run into in rural living. I've pulled a few well pumps in my day and had to work on them. I've seen people have to get new wells drilled because they dry up when you have a drought. We're not in that type of condition here yet. But you know, for some people, they're probably experiencing that. So we got all this water put on here, and we'll go down and get the hogs fed real quick, check on the piglets. And this is all for the garden down there. We'll go down there with solo cups and feed the peppers and the tomatoes for the most part. Okra's fine. It can handle some drought. The corn, there's a few nubbins on there. It may turn into a few ears. It may just be animal feed at this point. But that's how it goes sometimes. Last year we did pretty good with corn. This year not so good. We had rain and we had some water in last year, not this year. Y'all, we've got a nice deep and wide creek on our property here that we could irrigate out of. The only problem is we'd have to run at least a 2-inch main for about 500 feet just to make it to the garden. Maybe about 600 feet just to make it to the garden. And y'all, that'd take a whole lot of pump and a whole lot of effort. Worst case scenario, we could do that. But for now, we just bucket water just to keep them going, and we're hoping for some rain. Eventually, we'll probably dig a pond down here. Eventually. We need it now.
One of many projects, but yes.
One of many, y'all. It's always something to do on the homestead. If you ever done, you probably did. Y'all, my dad came over the other day and helped me, and Kyla helped. We got these boar pigs cut, castrated, so that now we don't have to worry about any tainted meat. And people will tell you, you can raise them up to within 6 months and process and you won't have tainted meat. Who knows, y'all? I don't want to take that risk, so it's good to keep with tradition and taking care of that. But y'all, they were sore for a couple hours, and before you know it, they were out jumping on each other and running around again. But it did good. We put them in a tote, took them up to the building, had 4 boars to cut, and Kyla and I got them up there. My dad showed up and helped us do that procedure, and Kyla doctored them with some spray antiseptic. Put them right back in here, y'all, and they're just fine. But Rosie is starting to get a little tick with them because they're wanting to nurse while she's eating, y'all. These piglets are approaching a month old. They'll be a month old this week, end of the week. And y'all, they look older than that from the pigs that we've raised in the past. These are just really healthy looking pigs. But Dixie, she's down here eating. And y'all, she just came out of heat the other day. It's good that we write that down in a little book, keeping up with her heat cycle, because this November, Samson is going to get to come in here and hopefully get her bred. I hope he will. If he doesn't, he's going to end up being sausage, but I believe he'll get her bred. We're hoping so. He's a young boar. He's about a month and a half, 2 months younger than she is, so we're giving him plenty of time to get big enough. Right now, he's about 1 inch shorter in height than she is. But if we have to, we'll get a stump and let him get out here and get to it. Y'all, this ain't fun, but it will give you a workout. I had to get on to Lisa. She's been sick for a few days, and I don't want her doing nothing strenuous, so she set them water buckets down and I towed them. Y'all, this is what it takes coming in here and hand watering. We're getting 12 ounces a piece this morning, these peppers. Y'all, the plants look great. And some of them are loaded up with fruit. But they're not loaded the way that we're used to having them loaded, just because there's been such a lack of moisture. So it may look like a 50-foot row of peppers is a lot of peppers. But if you're not getting adequate moisture, you need 300 foot. That's just the way it is, y'all. Y'all, we could probably mulch around these with something, but we have found that mulch, when we've tried that in the past here in the south, just becomes a breeding ground for other kind of pests, critters that eat your plants up. Or we could probably throw some row cover out. But y'all, we are traditionalists. We try to do it the way that our grandparents, their parents, their grandparents did. And plus, we like tilling the dirt. We like the smell of the dirt. Lisa likes getting her hands in it. So we don't run rows of fabric out here. And yet it would probably make it easier. But y'all, it's not always about easier. Sometimes it's about just enjoyment and putting up food. And y'all, we plant enough that even if the drought continues, we'll hand water. We'll get water out of that creek if we have to. I could always put a IBC tote on the back of the gator and pump that creek water into it and bring it up here if I had to, instead of running a line. May look into doing that for next year if I don't get a pond done between now and then. But y'all, this is just how we do it. And it's not because we don't like change is the reason we don't have row cover out. We just like doing it this way, y'all. Y'all, that's a lot to water by hand, but we get it done. I bring the heavy buckets and Lisa totes the buckets around and waters them. But y'all look, because of her hard work, look at all these tomatoes. She's had to pull a few plants up that got diseased or from a lack of moisture, got a little deformation. But as far as like blossom end rot, y'all, here's one right here. Blossom end rot. And y'all, that's caused not only by lack of nutrient, but also lack of water. And mostly it's lack of water because these have had calcium nitrate. That's what we use. And some of these are from stink bugs, where they sting them.
If you see rotten on the bottom where the bloom was, that's blossom end rot. If you're getting rotten spots on the sides, or as the fruit starts to ripen, you notice, that's usually from stink bugs or leaf-footed bugs that are stinging them. They actually poke a hole in there to get the moisture out, and you won't even see it. It'll be a microscopic hole, but it will cause your fruit to rot.
That plant's struggling right there.
Yeah.
Some disease in it.
Yeah, it's gonna come out probably after. If there's any fruit on them, I try to leave them and just take the gamble that it doesn't spread. But there's several good tomatoes on here, so I'm trying to let them ripen before I pull this one straight on out.
Y'all, Lisa was telling me that so far off of these 100 tomato plants that she had planted, she's already picked a good 10 gallons that are in the freezer. She'll put them in the freezer and wait until we have enough to do our sauces and canned tomatoes. And then we'll go from there. But y'all, there's a ton more tomatoes out here, so it looks like the harvest's gonna be good on tomatoes this year. And we don't do a fall crop of tomatoes, we just do the one. But y'all, it's looking pretty good down here. It's not that bad. Not that bad.
And I pull the tomatoes just as soon as they're starting to blush. Don't want to give any temptation to any raccoons because they will come in and steal them. So I'll just take them and put them in the shop and let them finish ripening.
Of course, that electric fence,
It's kept them out, but
kept coons out.
But the last year the squirrels did get in when the tomatoes started ripening.
Yeah.
And would just take a bite out of one. So
Well, we can share.
I'm not giving them any temptations. And this, you can see, is what a stink bug does to a pepper. It's where it stung it and it's just starting to rot right there. but I'm just going to go through and cut off what we can salvage of those. And these were our little time bomb hot peppers.
And those are good.
And they are so good. And one green pepper because I'm going to make some cherry tomato salsa to can today or tomorrow. And I believe that's it.
Not a bad little haul this morning.
Nope. And we did get 2 patty pans from the raised beds too. And I'm soaked. The breeze feels good.
That breeze does feel good. Y'all, we're going to end it right here for today. We got a little bit of a late start this morning. It's a holiday, July the 4th. You'll actually see this on Thursday. That's kind of how things roll around here. We'll shoot a video and you'll see it in a couple of days.
Well, and that's due to...
That's because that's how long it takes us to upload stuff, y'all.
Real Wi-Fi internet.
Yep, but that's all right. We got enough to get by. But guys, thanks for hanging out with us. These drought conditions are not good for gardening. If you've got a way to water, you're going to have to if you want to bring any kind of crop in. And y'all, the way the world's looking, you better be getting some crop in if you can. And that's not us being fearful, that's just being realistic. I'm a realist. I'm an optimist too, but I'm a realist. And reality says you better be growing some food, or hope you got enough money in the bank to pay for it when it starts getting short. Guys, thanks for stopping in. Hit the old like for us, subscribe if you hadn't. If you have, we appreciate you very much. Share these videos with your friends and neighbors and your family. Share it on social media, other platforms if you have it. That helps out, helps grow this channel, y'all. We feel like we are trying to be an encouragement to folks, and we believe we are. Guys, we appreciate you. Y'all have a good week. We'll see you on the next one.